Hello everyone, my name is Udit. Today I'm going to give you 15 interview questions to practice against for the people management round in managerial roles in tech companies. So when it comes to roles, these questions will be relevant for engineering managers, data managers, UX managers, pretty much any role that requires managing a team of people in a particular craft. And when it comes to companies, this round is one that typically occurs in all major tech companies. So Google, Facebook, Amazon, Dropbox, Stripe, and the super long list of tech companies we have today, which have very robust hiring processes. Before I start though, a quick introduction. I'm from Prepfully. We offer online anonymous mock interviews with someone who's worked in your target company and role. So in this context, we've got a bunch of managers, EMs, data managers, UX managers, all the way up to director level, who've been helping candidates with mocks and advice from pretty much all major tech companies. They're also the ones who've helped us put together content for this video. So on to the questions then. For context, people management questions typically take two forms. The first is experiential, which is tell me about a time XYZ happened, or how do you do XYZ, and theoretical, which is how would you do XYZ if it were to happen. Broadly, we can bucket further engineering manager people management style questions into three broad categories. The first is general leadership skills, the second is performance management, and the third and most important often is conflict and conversations. I'm going to give you 5 to practice against for each of these three types. So let's talk about general leadership questions first. This often starts off simple. So the first example is describe your leadership style. And it's like an introductory question that the person then discusses in a lot more depth depending on how you choose to answer it. Question number 2 is how do you measure team health? Question 3, tell me about a time you mentored someone. Question 4, how do you build teams? What's your philosophy on team composition? And question 5, how do you prioritize projects against the team? So let's talk about the first bucket, which is general leadership skills. The first question here I'm going to talk about is describe your leadership style. It often starts off really easy because this is an introductory question which then depending on your answer can be explored in a lot more depth by your interviewer. Second question, how do you measure team health? Here what the interviewer is trying to assess is how deliberate are you with driving your team forward? Do you measure success? Do you measure their health level? Third, tell me about a time where you've mentored someone. Have you been through the challenge of trying to empathize with someone who's reporting into you, potentially someone who isn't reporting into you, and helping them drive their career forward? 4, how do you build teams? What's your philosophy on team composition? So for instance, do you just take what's given to you by your senior leadership? Do you think about what a healthy team looks like and how to construct it in a manner that's viable for everyone and sustainable for everyone? And 5th, how do you prioritize projects across your team? So do you know how to fight back when the burden becomes unreasonable? Do you know how to shield and defend your team? And when you do so, what things do you look at when choosing how to prioritize? Bucket 2 then is performance management. First question, how do you help people manage their careers? Do you know what it takes to help someone who's reporting into you drive their career forward? How do you motivate employees? How do you mentor high performers? It can often become very demotivating in a team when, for instance, company leadership changes their strategy or where you decide a certain different direction might be required. How do you keep folks motivated? Question 3 here, how do you manage low performers? Tell me about a time where you manage someone out. And this is a scenario that pretty much every manager needs to face at some point or the other, which is how when someone in the team simply isn't performing, how do you make sure that it doesn't demotivate the rest of the team? How do you do this in a healthy and constructive way for the person who's actually not performing? Question 4, let's say a senior engineer in your team tells you that she'd like to become a people manager. What do you do next? So again, a very specific approach to growing people's career, which might move them away from what they're currently doing. You might lose a really valuable individual contributor because they want to extend their career in the direction of a people manager. 5th and finally, how do you manage individual contributors? And this question basically seeks to understand if you acknowledge the differences in managing other people managers and individual contributors themselves. The third bucket then is conflict and conversations. So how do you manage conflicts across teams? How do you resolve these conflicts? Vanilla question tries to understand what your approach to conflicts is. Second question, tell me about a time where you had to decline a promotion request from someone. Now, this is a tricky one. Let's say someone's reporting into you and they want to get promoted, but you either don't think they're ready or you can't convince the community that they're ready and they basically don't get promoted. So, how do you deal with this very awkward situation in a constructive way? Third, what do your one-to-ones look like? What do you usually talk about? So, again, trying to understand your approach on how you structure your one-to-ones, what value you seek to deliver from them and get from them, and so on. Fourth, let's say you're interviewing for a manager of managers role in this one. You could get asked what you do differently in one-to-ones between managers versus individual contributors. Again, trying to see how deliberate you are with these one-to-ones, how these conversations go and how you structure them for maximum value for everyone involved. And fifth, another vanilla question, tell me about the most difficult people management situation that you've had to manage so far. Again, tries to understand what you found difficult, what you learned from it, what you could do differently if you had to do it all over again, to not just understand if you've been in such situations and kind of been trialed through fire, but also if you grew as a person and as a manager and became better as an outcome of that situation. So that's all from me. That's 15, some easy, some tricky questions to practice against. I thank all our experts for contributing these. I'd recommend crafting answers to these which don't just answer the question, but also communicate the key messages you want to deliver from this experience, which then align you to the fit of the company you're interviewing with, be it Twitter or LinkedIn or Amazon or Facebook or whatever. Once you feel ready for some practice, I would strongly recommend booking a mock interview with an engineering manager on Prepfully or a data manager or a UX manager. We've got all of them, because then they can give you real world feedback on are you getting those messages across. And you can also get some practice dealing with the tangents these questions can take when your interviewer asks you a follow-up that you weren't expecting, for instance, because that's actually what happened in pretty much every interview. But apart from that, I wish you all the best. If you found this useful, please like and comment. I'll prepare more videos on similar topics if you found this useful. So please let me know in the comments below if you did. And if there are any specific topics you want me to investigate, please mention that too. Apart from that, best of luck with your preparation. Take care.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Our website is prepfully.com. We've got lots of interview questions there. You can also schedule a mock interview with one of our experts. You can find the link in the description below. All the best from us at Prepfully, and we hope you totally rock your interview.